Good morning, class. Okay, Mr. Cruz, please lead the prayer. Okay, how are you feeling today, class? Oh, wow, that's great. I am also very excited. President, who are absent for today? Very good. I'm really glad that all of you are here. Now, can any one of you tell me what was your assignment? Okay. May Day Eve is actually one of Nick Joaquin's famous works. So I hope that all of you were able to read the story because I'll be giving points for those who will participate. Okay. But before we move on to the story, let us first play a short game. So in this game, you will guess the specific word that fits with the theme of the photos presented. So I know that all of you are familiar with this game because it is also known as four picks, one word. So are you ready? Okay, very good. So what do you think this four pictures depict? Okay, that's correct. Love. And how about this? Okay, what do you think this four picture depicts? So it's our belief as Filipinos in supernatural, which leads to certain consequences of an action or event. For example, knocking on wood to prevent unpleasant things to happen. Yes, very good. That's correct. It's superstitions. So at this point, let us know about the author, which is Nick Joaquin. So please read Miss Gomez. Okay, thank you, Miss Gomez. So Nick Joaquin is a Filipino novelist. He is also a poet, playwright, essayist, and biographer whose works present the diverse heritage of the Filipino people. Now, please listen and at the same time watch this video presenting the characters and the setting as well of the story May Day Eve. Okay, so at this juncture, we're going to have a game entitled Vocabulary. So in this game, there are unfamiliar words found in the text, and you will pick one correct answer that best defines the word. So Do you have any questions or clarifications regarding the game before we start? Okay, give me a minute. So our first word is ruefully. What do you think is ruefully? Is it showing regret, awful, unaccepted, or painful? What? Showing regret. Okay. Let me see. Very good. Ruefully is showing regret. Next. Ascent. What do you think is ascent? To walk up the stairs, to climb, go inside the house, or leave. Ascent is to climb. Okay. Let's see. Ascent means to walk up the stairs. Prowled. Prowled. What is prowled? Hide. Okay, let us see if it's hide. Prowled, the correct answer is prowled is move stealthily. Next. What is audacity? Is it a rainbow, disrespectful behavior, a bright light, or displeased? What do you think is the correct answer? Disrespectful behavior. Very good. Audacity is disrespectful behavior. Number 5, pompous. What do you think is pompous? Is it brave, arrogant, feminine, or adventurous? Arrogant, okay. Yes, very good. Pompous is arrogant. Power up. Okay, we have a power up here. Next, exultant. Extraordinary, overjoyed, prescribing someone professional, or is it a male assistant? What? Overjoyed, okay. Very good. Exultant is overjoyed. Next word, clamor. What do you think is clamor? Whispering, chain style accessory, shouting, enchantment. So what is clamor? Shouting, okay. Very good. Clamor is shouting. Next, bawling. Taking a minute of detour, a sport famous in United Kingdom, to cry without a stop, or call someone loudly. Call someone loudly. Let's see. Very good. Bawling is to call someone loudly. Again, power up. We have ninth word. The ninth word is taut. What is taut? Taut breasts. Is it a heel of the horse, wires, tight, or a slack? Taut breast. Tight. Okay. Oh, you guess. Very good. That was a very nice guess. Taut is tight. Very good. Next, for a 10th word, lamenting. Celebrate, rejoice, expressing regret or disappointment, crying or weeping. Lamenting is expressing regret. Let's see. Very good. That's correct. Next word. Okay. We have here redemption question. So we have a chance to reattempt a question we have got wrong. So you choose which one. Is it the first or the second? The first? Okay. Proud. Remember what is proud? To move steadily. Very good. That is correct. You remembered. Very good. For 11th word is caramba. What is caramba? Two-wheeled carabao drawn carriage, native dance from Mongolia, a cheerful greeting, or is it an expression of surprise or dismay? Time is ticking, an expression, okay, very good. Caramba is an expression of surprise or dismay. Power up again. Next, amorously. Disgusted, insane, moved by love, or is it a sweet scented? Moved by love. Very good. Okay, next. 13th word is curlicue. Curlicue. A chocolate, fancy word, fancy curve, I mean, the natural curl of the hair, signals or signs used in theater. Curlicue. Does it mean the curl of the hair? Literal meaning or not? Fancy curve, let's see. Very good. Curlicue doesn't mean the curl of the hair. Okay, ravished. Wonderfully made, good looking, fill someone with intense delight, or elegant or stunning. Elegant or stunning? Let's see if this is correct. No, ravished means fill someone with intense delight. That is the correct definition. Next is apparel. What is apparel? This is very um easy. Clothes, very good. Apparel is clothes. Very good. Power up again. Double jeopardy. Okay, next. Like, let's activate or not. Okay, activate. What is fastidious? Okay, smart, hard to please, comfortable, or showing bad behavior. Hard to please. Very good. Fastidious is hard to please. Very good. We have 3 words left. What is uproariously? Matter upset, very noisy, wild, or to get attention. Very noisily. Very good. Uproariously again is very noisy. Disconsolate. What is disconsolate? Unhappy, celebrating, depressed, or is it joyful? Unhappy, okay. Very good. Okay. We only have 2 words remaining. What is young bucks? Does not age, or is it male, a baby deer, or a teenager? Young bucks. Young bucks. Okay. Yes. The time is ticking. Teenager. Okay, teenager. Very good. And for our last crinolines. What is crinolines? Painted walls and streets, a large, well-designed kites, open weave fabric of horsehair or cotton, brand of crayons, and paintings. Okay, guess. Okay, it's okay. Painted walls and streets. No, it's open with fabric of horsehair or cotton. It's okay. Okay, let's have this redemption question. Pick the second one or the first one or the third one. Pick the middle one. Okay, the second. Again, what is ravished? Wonderfully made. Is it good looking to someone with intense delight, or elegant or stunning? You have answered earlier, Kai, elegant or stunning. But the correct answer is what? Feel someone with intense delight. Are you sure? Okay. Very good. Ravish is fill someone with intense delight. Very good. Let's go back to our PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so this time, listen carefully because this is what we're going to do. I will read first a few stanzas or a paragraph, and afterward, you will follow. Got it? So, let's start reading the story entitled May Day Eve. The old people had ordered that the dancing should stop at 10 o'clock, but it was almost midnight before the carriages came filing up the departing guests. While the girls who were staying were promptly herded upstairs to the bedrooms, the young men gathering around to wish them a good night and lamenting their ascents with mock signs and moaning, proclaiming themselves disconsolate but straightway going off to finish the punch and the brandy, though they were quite drunk already and simply bursting with wild spirits, merriment, arrogance, and audacity, for they were young bucks newly arrived from Europe. The ball had been in their honor, and they had waltzed and polka-ed and bragged and swaggered and flirted all night and were in no mood to sleep yet. No, caramba, not on this moist tropic eve, not on this mystic May eve, with the night still young and so seductive that it was madness not to go out, not to go forth and serenade the neighbors, cried one, and swim in the passage, cried another, and gather fireflies, cried a third, whereupon there arose a great clamor for coats and capes, for hats and canes, and there were a couple of street lamps flickered, and the last carriage rattled away upon the cobbles, while the blind black houses muttered hush hush, their tile roofs looming there like sinister chessboards against a wild sky murky with clouds, save where an evil young moon prowled about in a corner, or where a murderous wind whirled, whistling and whining, smelling now of the sea and now of the summer orchards, and wafting unbearable childhood fragrances rather, or ripe guavas to the young men trooping so uproariously down the street that the girls who were desiring upstairs in the bedrooms catered screaming to the windows crowded giggling at the windows, but were soon sighing amorously over those young men bowling below, over those wicked young men in their handsome apparel, their proud flashing eyes and their elegant moustaches so black and vivid in the moonlight that the girls were quite ravished with love, and began crying to one another how carefree were men, but how awful to be a girl and what a horrid world it was, till old Anastasia plucked them off by the ear or the pigtail and chases them off to bed, while from up the street came the clackety-clack of the watchman's boots on the cobble and the clang-clang of his lantern against his knee, and the mighty roll of his great voice booming through the night. Guardia Sereno! Serno a las 12 handado. Okay, at the count of three. One, two, three, go. And it was May again, said the old Anastasia. It was the first day of May, and witches were abroad in the night, she said. For it was a night of divination, a night of lovers, and those who cared might peer into a mirror and would there behold the face of whoever it was they were fated to marry, said the old Anastasia, as she hobbled about picking up the piled crinolines and folding up shawls and raking slippers in corner while the girls climbing into four great poster beds that overwhelmed the room began shrieking with terror, scrambling over each other and imploring the old woman not to frighten them. Enough, enough, Anastasia. We want to sleep. Go scare the boys instead, you old witch. She is not a witch. She is a maga. She is a maga. She was born of Christmas Eve. Saint Anastasia, Virgin and Mary. Huh? Impossible. She has conquered 7 husbands. Are you a virgin, Anastasia? No, but I am 7 times a martyr because of you girls. Let her prophesy. Let her prophesy. Whom will I marry, old gypsy? Come, tell me. You may learn in a mirror if you are not afraid. I am not afraid. I will go, cried the young cousin Agida, jumping up in bed. Again, in one, two, three, go. Girls, girls, we are making too much noise. My mother will hear and will come and pinch us all. Agida, lie down, and you, Anastasia, I command you to shut your mouth and go away. Your mother told me to stay here all night, my grand lady. And I will not lie down, cried the rebellious Agida, leaping to the floor. Stay, old woman, tell me what I have to do. Tell her, chimed the other girls. The old woman dropped the clothes she had gathered and approached and fixed her eyes on the girl. You must take a candle, she instructed, and go into a room that is dark and that has a mirror in it, and you must be alone in the room. Go up to the mirror and close your eyes and shy. Mirror, mirror, show to me him whose woman I will be. If all goes right, just above your left shoulder will appear the face of the man you will marry. A silence. Then, and hat if all that's not go right? Asked Agida. Ah, then the Lord have mercy on you. Why? Because you may see. The devil. The girls screamed and touched one another, shivering. But what nonsense! Cried Agida. This is the year 1847. There are no devil any more. Nevertheless, she had turned pale. But where could I go, huh? Yes, I know, down to the sala. It has that big mirror and no one is there now. No, Agina, no! It is a mortal sin. You will see the devil. I do not care. I am not afraid. I will go. Oh, you wicked girl. Oh, you mad girl. If you do not come to bed, Agida, I will call my mother. And if you do, I will tell her who came to visit you at the convent last March. Come, old woman, give me that candle. I go. Oh, girls, give me that candle. I go. But Akida had already slipped outside, was already tiptoeing across the hall, her feet bare and her dark hair falling down her shoulders and streaming in the wind as she fled down the stairs. The lighted candle sputtering in one hand while with the other she pulled up her white gown from her ankles. She paused breathless in the doorway to the sala, and her heart failed her. She tried to imagine the room filled again with lights, laughter, whirling couples, and the jolly jerky music of the fiddlers. But oh, it was a dark den, a weird cavern, for the windows had been closed and the furniture stacked up against the walls. She crossed herself and stepped inside. One, two, three, go. The mirror hung on the wall before her, a big antique mirror with a gold frame carved into leaves and flowers and mysterious curlicues. She saw herself approaching fearfully in it, a small wild ghost that the darkness bodied forth, but not willingly, not completely, for her eyes and her hair were so dark that the face approaching in the mirror seemed only a mask that floated forward, a bright mask with 2 holes gaping in it, blown forward by the white cloud of her gown. But when she stood before the mirror, she lifted the candle level with her chin, and the dead mask boomed into her living face. She closed her eyes and whispered the incantation. When she had finished, such a terror took hold of her that she felt unable to move, unable to open her eyes, and thought she would stand there forever, enchanted. But she heard a step behind her, and a smothered giggle, and instantly opened her eyes. And what did you see, Mamma? Oh, what was it? But Doña Aguida had forgotten the little girl on her lap. She was staring past the curly head nestling at her breast and seeing herself in a big mirror hanging in the room. It was the same room and the same mirror out this face she now saw in it was an old face, a hard, bitter, vengeful face, framed in graying hair and so sadly altered, so sadly different from that other face like a white mask, that fresh young face like a pure mask that she had brought before this mirror one wild May Day midnight years and years ago. But what was it, Mamma? Oh, please go on. What did you see? Doña Aguida looked down at her daughter, but her face did not soften though her eyes filled with tears. I saw the devil, she said bitterly. The child blanched. The devil, Mamma? Oh, oh, yes, my love. I opened my eyes, and there in the mirror, smiling at me over my left shoulder, was the face of the devil. Oh, my poor little Mamma, and were you very frightened? You can imagine, and that is why good little girls do not look into mirrors except when their mothers tell them. You must stop this naughty habit, darling, of admiring yourself in every mirror you pass, or you may see something frightful someday. But the devil, Mamma, what did he look like? Well, let me see. He has curly hair and a scar on his cheek, like the scar of Papa? Well, yes, but this of the devil was a scar of sin, while that of your Papa is a scar of honor. Or so he says. Go on about the devil. Well, he had mustaches, like those of Papa? Oh no, those of your Papa are dirty and graying and smell horribly of tobacco, while these of the devil were very black and elegant. Oh, how elegant! And did he speak to you, Mamma? Yes, yes, he spoke to me, said Doña Aguida, and bowing her graying head, she wept. One, two, three, go. Charms like yours have no need for a candle, for fair one, he had said, smiling at her in the mirror and stepping back to give her a low mocking bow. She had reared around and glared at him, and he had burst into laughter. But I remember you, he cried. You are Agida, whom I left a mere infant and came home to find a tremendous beauty, and I danced a waltz with you, but you would not give me the polka. Let me pass, she muttered fiercely, for he was barring the way. But I want to dance the polka with you, fair one, he said. So they stood before the mirror, their panting breath the only sound in a dark room, the candle shining between them and flinging their shadows to the wall, and young Badoy Montilla, who had crept home very drunk to pass out quietly in bed, suddenly found himself cold sober and very much awake and ready for anything. His eyes sparkled and the scar on his face gleamed scarlet. Let me pass, she cried again, in a voice of fury, but he grasped her by the wrist. No, he smiled, not until you have danced. Go to the devil. What a temper has my Serena. I am not your Serena. Whose then? Someone I know, someone I have offended grievously? Because you treat all my friends like your mortal enemies. And why not? She demanded, jerking her wrist away and flashing her teeth in his face. Oh, how I detest you, you pompous young men. You go to Europe and you came back elegant lords, and we poor girls are too tame to please you. We have no grace like the Parisians, we have no fire like the civilians, and we have no salt. No salt, no salt. Ay, how you weary me, how you bore me, how fastidious men. Come, come, how do you know about us? I was not admiring myself, sir. You were admiring the moon, perhaps. Oh, she gasped and burst into tears. The candle dropped from her hand and she covered her face and sobbed piteously. The candle had gone out and they stood in darkness, and young Badoy was conscience stricken. Oh, do not cry, little one. Oh, please forgive me. Please do not cry. But what a brute I am! I was drunk, little one. I was drunk, and knew not what I said. He groped and found her hand and touched it to his lips. She shuddered in her white gown. Let me go, she moaned and tugged feebly. No, say you forgive me first. Say you forgive me, Agida. But instead, she pulled his hand to her mouth and bit so sharply in the knuckles that he cried with pain and lashed out with his other hand, lashed out and hit the air, for she was gone. She had fled, and he heard the rustling of her skirts up the stairs as he furiously sucked his bleeding fingers. Cruel thoughts raced through his head. He would go and tell his mother and make her turn the savage girl out of the house, or he would go himself to the girl's room and drag her out of bed and slap her silly face. But at the same time, he was thinking that they were all going to Antipolo in the morning and was already planning how he would maneuver himself into the same boat with her. Oh, he would have his revenge. He would make her pay, that little harlot. She should suffer for this, he thought greedily, licking his bleeding knuckles. But Judas, he remembered her bare shoulders, gold in her candlelight and delicately furrowed. He saw the mobile insolence of her neck and her taut breasts steady in the fluid gown. Son of a Turk, but she was quite enchanting. How could she think she had no fire or grace, and no salt? An arroba she had of it. Okay, one, two, three, go. No lack of salt in the chrism at the moment of thy baptism. He sang aloud in a dark room and suddenly realized that he had fallen madly in love with her. He ached intensely to see her again, at once, to touch her hands and her hair, to hear her harsh voice. He ran to the window and flung open the casements, and the beauty of the night struck him back like a blow. It was May, it was a summer, and he was young and deliriously in love. Such happiness welled up within him that the tears spurted from his eyes, but he did not forgive her. No, he would still make her pay. He would still have his revenge, he thought viciously, and kiss his wounded fingers. But what a night it had been! I will never forget this night, he had thought aloud in an awed voice. Standing by the window in the dark room, the tears in his eyes and the wind in his hair, and his bleeding knuckles pressed to his mouth. But alas, the heart forgets. The heart is distracted, and May time passes, summer lends, the storms break over the rat-type orchards, and the heart grows old. While the hours, the days, the months, and the years pile up, till the mind becomes too crowded, too confused. Dust gathers in it. Cobwebs multiply. The walls darken and fall into ruin and decay. The memory perish, and there came a time when Don Badoy Montilla walked home through a May Day midnight without remembering, without even caring to remember, being merely concerned in feeling his way across the street with his cane, his eyes having grown quite dim and his legs uncertain, for he was old, he was over 60. He was a very stop and shivered old man with white hair and mustaches coming home from a secret meeting of conspirators, his mind still resounding with the speeches and his patriot heart still exultant as he picked his way up the steps to the front door and inside into the slumbering darkness of the house, wholly unconscious of the May night, till on his way down the hall, chancing to glance into the sala, he shuddered, he stopped, his blood ran cold, for he had seen a face in the mirror there, a ghostly candlelight face with the eyes closed and the lips moving, a face that he suddenly felt he had been there before, though it was a full minutes before the lost memory came tiding back, so overflowing the actual moment and so swiftly washing away the piled hours and days and months and years that he was left suddenly young again. He was a gay young back again, lately came from Europe. He had been dancing all night. He was very drunk. He stepped in the doorway. He saw a face in the dark. He called out, and the lad standing before the mirror, for it was a lad in the night, go jumped with fright and almost dropped his candle, but looking around and seeing the old man, laughed out with relief and came running. Okay, one, two, three, go. Oh, Grandpa, how you frightened me! Don Badoy had turned very pale. So it was you, you young bandit. And what is all this, hey? What are you doing down here at this hour? Nothing, Grandpa. I am only. Yes, you're the great Signor Only, and how delighted I am to make your acquaintance, Signor Only. But if I break this cane on your head, you mago wish you were someone else, sir. It was just foolishness, Grandpa. They told me I would see my wife. Wife? What wife? Mine. The boys at school said I would see her if I looked in a mirror tonight and said, Mirror, mirror, show to me her whose lover I will be. Don Badoy cackled ruefully. He took the boy by the hair, pulled him along into the room, sat down on a chair, and drew the boy between his knees. Now put your cane down the floor, son, and let us talk this over. So you want your wife already, hey? You want to see her in advance, hey? But so you know that these are wicked games and that wicked boys who play them are in danger of seeing horrors. Well, that boys did warn me I might see a witch instead. Exactly, a witch so horrible you might die of fright. She will bewitch you. She will torture you. She will eat your heart and drink your blood. Oh, come now, Grandpa. This is 1890. There are no witches anymore. Oh, my young Voltaire. And what if I tell you that I myself have seen a witch? You? Where? Right in this room, land, right in that mirror, said that old man, and his playful voice had turned savage. When, Grandpa? Not so long ago, when I was a bit older than you. Oh, I was a vain fellow, and though I was feeling very sick that night, and merely wanted to lie down somewhere and die, I could not pass that doorway, of course, without stopping to see in the mirror what I look like when dying. But when I poke my head, and what should I see in the mirror? But, okay, one, two, three, go. The witch? Exactly. And then she bewitched you, Grandpa. She bewitched me and she tortured me. She ate my heart and drank my blood, said the old man bitterly. Oh, my poor little Grandpa. Why have you never told me? And she very horrible? Horrible? God, no. She was the most beautiful creature I have ever seen. Her eyes were somewhat like yours, but her hair was like black waters and her golden shoulders were bare. My God, she was enchanting, but I should have known even then, the dark and fatal creature she was. A silence. Then, what a hurried mirror this is, Grandpa, whispered the boy. What makes you say that? Hey, well, you saw this witch in it, and Mama once told me that Grandma once told her that Grandma once saw the devil in this mirror. Was it of the scare that Grandma died? Don Madoy started. For a moment he had forgotten that she was dead, that she had perished, the poor Agida, that they were at peace at last, the two of them, her tired body at rest, her broken body set free at last from the brutal pranks of the earth, from the trap of the May nights, from the snare of summer, from the terrible silver nets of the moon. She had been a mere heap of white hair and bones in the end, a whimpering, withered consumptive, lashing out with her cruel tongue, her eye like live coals, her face like ashes. Now nothing. Nothing save a name on a stone, save a stone in a graveyard, nothing was left of the young girl who had flamed so vividly in a mirror one wild May Day midnight long, long ago. One, two, three, start. And remembering how she had sobbed so piteously, remembering how she had bitten his hand and fled, and how he had sung aloud in the dark room and surprised his heart in the instant of falling in love. Such a grief tore up his throat and eyes that he felt ashamed before the boy, pushed the boy away, stood up and looked out upon the medieval shadows of the foul street where a couple of street lamps flickered and the last carriage was rattling away upon the cobbles, where the blind black houses muttered hush hush, their roofs looming like sinister chessboards against a wild sky murky with clouds, save where an evil old moon prowled about in a corner or where a murderous wind whirled, whistling and whining, smelling now of the sea and now of the summer orchards, and wafting unbearable the window, the bowed old man sobbing so bitterly at the window, the tears streaming down his cheeks and the wind in his hair, and one hand pressed to his mouth, while from up the street came the clackety clack of the watchman's boots on the cobbles, and the clang clang of his lantern against his knee, and the mighty roll of his voice booming through the night. Guardia Sereno, a las 12 handado. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This is the last one. Go. Okay, since we are done reading the story Mayday Eve, I have questions here and I want you to share your thoughts about these questions. So, in this way, we'll be able to understand more deeply the story. Okay? Okay, so the first question, do you know someone who still believes in superstitions like Anastasia? Oh, your grandmother. So what superstition does she still believe as of the present? Okay. You know what, class? I have observed that we are still believing those kinds of superstitions because of our grandparents. So this superstitions has been passed down by generations to generations. That is why it still exists. So number two, you think Agida and Badoy get married because of love? Yes, that's true. I think Miss Eloper believes on fate or destiny, right? Wherein if it's meant to be, it will be. Okay, thank you, Miss Eloper. Number three, should we let superstitions or destiny dictate what happens in our lives? Okay, thank you. You know what, class? What I like about this story is that we're able to know your point of views. And I was very impressed by your answers because it's based on what you have experienced. And we could actually relate because this is in real life. To think that in real life, there is no destiny or fate yet. I'm not saying that if you believe in destiny you're already wrong. No, we have different thoughts and we must respect it because if you choose to believe on something you won't lose anything as long as you know when to make an effort and when to let your destiny dictate or when to let destiny dictate your life. Okay. Okay, so the second to the last question, if you were Agida or Voltaire, what decisions will you make? Correct. I agree with you. They're still young and that is not the right age to venture on love. Thank you. As for the last question, what is the theme of the story? Thank you very much, class. So now, we have discussed today one of the famous works of Nick Joaquin, which is the story of May Day Eve. So Nick Joaquin is a Filipino writer. He is also a famous Filipino writer. And we have also learned 20 unfamiliar words that we have encountered in the text. And most important of all is that we're able to know your side stories relating to the story of Nick Joaquin. So, from all of your answers, class, we can say that Agida is someone who is willing to take risks just to know her future husband. Yet, she learned that love shouldn't be made by quick decisions, and as well as Don Badoy. He reminisced those times when he deeply loved Agida before the accident happened. Though he still loves Agida after what happened, yet their love has been interfered by hatred. So the mirror signifies the reflection of Badoy's and Agida's bitterness. They harbored for each other during their wedding, and the candle was supposed to give the light for the marriage and make them bring out the best in each other. However, it also enables them to see the worst. So just remember, class, always remember that whatever principle we choose to believe in, may it be faith or free will, we should not forget to work hard when it's time for us to work on something so that we'll be able to achieve our goals. And at the same time, there are also points in our life that we can go with the flow or just let fate or destiny dictate whatever happens, because as they say that God knows best and he has a better plan for all of us. So we can let fate dictate our life, yet we must study to become teachers, doctors, engineers, nurses, or a police officer in the future. Okay? So do you have any questions or ideas you want to add? Okay, go ahead. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for your addition insights. So, as for our last activity today, draw your interpretation of the story Mayday Eve and write an explanation below it. So, your drawing will be graded according to content 40%, relevance 40%, and then neatness is 20% for a total of 100%. So, okay, you may now start. Okay, while drawing, please listen. So for your assignment, write an essay about how superstitions could affect our decisions in life. So write it in a short bond paper. This will be passed next meeting. Okay, do you have any questions or clarifications before we end our discussion for today? All right. Thank you for today's interactive discussion class. It's not just you who have learned something today, but I also learned a lot because of your insights. So, reminder for your activity for this. Okay, if you have finished your drawing, you can send it in our FU, fuel classroom. So today is the deadline, 11:59 p.m. So don't forget to submit it in our fuel classroom. Okay? Okay, very good. So this ends our discussion for today, class. Goodbye and have a great day ahead. Goodbye.